Hey everybody, Dana Shoaf, editor of Civil War Times Magazine, with Melissa Wynn, director of photography behind the camera. I think last time I was on, we said we weren't going to do anything in December, but it's the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Fredericksburg, and so we just decided we had to come down here and do a few things, because I wanted to come down, and so did Melissa. So, this is the first of our videos, and we're trying our new microphones. This thing that looks like a mustache or a caterpillar is actually a microphone, and I'm sure hope it's working because there's a lot of traffic noise here, and hopefully this is going to make a difference. But we are located at sort of a lesser known place on the Fredericksburg battlefield. When a lot of folks come here, of course, they go to the National Park Service Visitor Center and Mary's Heights, and that's fantastic, and we're going to be here later. But Fredericksburg was a vast battle. It pitted 113 Union soldiers against about 75,000 Confederate soldiers. The battlefield ran really for miles. From where I am standing right now, Fredericksburg itself and Mary's Heights is about 2 miles away to the north, okay? And I am at a location called Pelham's Corner, signified by this Napoleon artillery piece, where 24-year-old John Pelham, chief of Jeb Stuart's horse artillery, is from Alabama, and he held off thousands of Union soldiers were held up for more than an hour by John Pelham and his actions here. And these Union troops are not attacking Mary's Heights, they're attacking a southern area of the battlefield known as the Slaughter Pen Farm, or charging across the Prospect Hill. To tell us more about this location, Talbott was saved, and the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust that helped save property around here. Come on in here, Tim.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
I'd like to introduce to everybody Tim Talbott, Chief Administrative Officer for the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust. So, just to help orient you a little bit, we are on the extreme right of the Confederate line.
Yep.
And the Federal line itself, the left flank of the Federal line, is about 400 yards away from here to the north. The Rappahannock River is about, what, a mile and a half that way?
About half a mile.
Half a mile, excuse me. And Hamilton's Crossing, which was at the base of that Prospect Hill, is just down this road. And that was where the right flank of Stonewall Jackson's troops were. And the road here, this busy road, is the old Richmond Road that ran from Fredericksburg to Richmond during the battle. So if you have a map, you can kind of orient yourself. So Tim, first of all, we're obviously surrounded by a lot of development and traffic. This is an iconic story about the Battle of Fredericksburg. John Pelham, right?
Yes.
Robert E. Lee witnessed him doing this and said I'm paraphrasing. Do you remember the exact quote?
It's glorious to see courage in one so young, or something that
It's glorious to see courage, because they're watching him from up on the heights, and they're watching him. So tell us in a little more detail about what Pelham does and how he gets here.
Sure. So picketing this end of the Confederate line is Jeb Stuart's cavalry, largely under Fitzhugh Lee. And he's understanding where the Federal position is. He reports back to Stuart, and Stuart thinks that there's an opportunity here, and he sends Pelham with 2 guns out this way. One of the guns is quickly put out of commission.
Now, were those both Napoleons that came out?
I believe they were both Napoleons.
Okay.
But the one that does survive and he puts into such effect is a Napoleon.
Is a Napoleon, just like this one right here. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And he is going to position it in a place that's low ground, which is the opposite of what you usually want for artillery, to help mask it, as well as using the advantage of the fog that is still laying on the ground at this time.
A heavy ground fog that morning of December 13th.
So the
1862.
Federals cannot really see him. They don't know where he's at. And plus there's this row of cedar trees that has been replanted here that helped mask him as well. And he's going to start firing from this one gun into the left flank of the Federal Army, largely Abner Doubleday's division. And he's going to, as you said earlier, he's going to hold up Doubleday for about an hour.
It's almost inconceivable, right? One gun holds up an entire Union division for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Because he's just firing right down the flank.
Right. And of course, the Federals quickly respond to that. It's about 10 o'clock when he fires his first shot, Pelham. But they quickly return fire. They just can't really find where he is. to make their shots effective. And then on top of that, since it's horse artillery, he's able to move about from place to place and make himself harder to hit as a target because of his movement.
So in horse artillery, everybody's mounted. All the gunners, everybody rides a horse. So they could keep up with the cavalry, obviously. But that gives him the mobility to kind of hop around out here, and it's harder for them to get a fix on him, basically.
Yeah.
So there is another gun sent out to help him, but it's destroyed too, right?
Right. Stuart sends another gun, a Blakely gun, which is, I believe, British-made rifle. He sends John Eston Cook, who's a captain, out to help him. He gets off one shot, but then the Federals hit him because he's not in a less masked position.
A little more exposed.
Yeah, one shot and they're out of commission. Actually kills two of his gunners with him.
And so Pelham they keep telling him to withdraw, right?
Yep.
He keeps saying, no, I got this, basically.
He gets several commands to withdraw and retire. Jeb Stuart gets emphatic with him and calls him an infernal gallant fool. Tells him to leave, but he refuses to leave. And then finally he does.
He does leave. And of course, his impetuous is going to help lead to his demise in March of '63.
Right. When
he joins a cavalry fight at Kelly's Ford. And I believe a shell fragment strikes him.
That's right, in the back of the head.
And he's mortally wounded there. So he will die fairly young. But he's known after this action here as the Gallant Pelham.
The Gallant Pelham.
And it's a real, it's like one of these little micro stories of the Battle of Fredericksburg. And again, this is a little detached preservation success, as you can see here, to save this really important spot. So how did you guys end up preserving this?
Sure. So this area had always been marked. This marker that you see over here has been here for years.
So that's an older marker, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And but the land wasn't preserved, and of course this is a very valuable piece of property, being that it's zoned commercial. So in 1999, CVBT purchased two smaller pieces of property here on the corner, hoping to use it for future leverage. And then about 8 years later, Silver Companies, who's a large developer that CVBT often works with to true preservation successes, purchased the main part of the land here, and we did a swap with them. And then about 8 years after that, they donated an additional amount of acres. So we have now about 4.5 acres total here preserved.
So if people want to find this, what's the best? Can you Google Pelham's Corner?
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can put that in your GPS, Pelham's Corner, and come down here. There's a couple of really cool waysides with maps that talk about the action here and depict it really well. There's this old monument to check out, and of course some older like highway markers, and a nice representative here with this Napoleon cannon. But it really it is an important part of that December 13th.
Oh, it has huge repercussions. Yeah. When you think about it, if Doubleday had not been held up,
right,
if he would have attacked with Meade, they would have expanded that breach that Meade makes into the Confederate line.
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't that familiar, the Federals actually have success down here on the southern end of the battlefield. Troops under George Gordon Meade will break the Confederate line on Prospect Hill, but they don't have enough following reserves to exploit that big breakthrough. And as Tim just explained, one of the reasons is Doubleday is sort of like, I mean, you have to think he should have probably just pushed on, but he didn't, and that's the way it ended out. So before we go, tell us a little bit about Central Virginia Battlefields Trust. How long have you been with the organization?
So I've just been with the organization since February of this year. I'm relatively new to it, but the organization has been around since 1996. And they saw a real need about the mid-90s that this area of Virginia was growing really fastly with development. So to try to slow that down, they started their own grassroots organization to start saving acreage. And over the last 26 years, CVBT has saved about 1,700 acres here in Central Virginia, which, if you know this area, it's a very competitive, high real estate market.
And so you've saved this property, and what's your target property right now?
So we're working on a 2-acre piece of land on the Chancellorsville battlefield that was part of Jackson's flank attack on May 2nd, 1863.
So you Wilderness, Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, Chancellorsville, you guys work?
And Mine Run.
And Mine Run. Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm going to put them on the spot a little bit. Spin to the right, and Everett Trent wave when they see you, okay? So Trent just is a good friend of mine. Trent flew in from the Midwest today just to see be here on the anniversary, and he also donated a beautiful Troiani print of Jackson's flank attack to the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust that you guys might use in that effort out there.
Yeah, we
So
do.
thanks, Trent.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to give Trent some props for that. So here, come in real close, Melissa. If people want to check it out, there's the web address there. Okay, if you want to learn more about the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust, you often work with the American Battlefield Trust on various projects.
Yeah,
so,
we're all trying to do the same thing.
You guys have done some great work down here, and like he said, it's ferocious land development down here. Ferocious. I mean, there's a townhouse development that's gone up since the last time I was here, which hasn't been that long. So, I mean, it's really crazy. But we're going to be back with you a little later on today. We're going to talk to some NPS folks. We'll be back at the Visitor Center on Marys Heights, and we'll talk a little bit more about the entire engagement, December 11th through the 15th. It's a much longer amount of time than many people think. It's not just the 13th when the attacks happen here, but there's a river crossing, there's street fighting, there's all kind of stuff. And we'll bring that. Anybody want to say hi, or how are the mics working? I hope they're working.
I hope they're working also. I'm going to say who, and you'll have to repeat me because they can't hear me. So Gwen Wittenbach is on.
Gwen Wittenbach? Okay. Melissa just explained that with these mics, you can't hear her anymore. Okay. Rick Hill? Okay. I'm having a hard time hearing because the street noise is so bad. But anyway, there's some people on, I take it. So, Rich Condon, the Rich Condon. Rich, it's gorgeous here today. It's like 40 degrees, sunny.
Nice.
The heck with that, South Carolina. I know you got like beach crabs invading your house anyway, so it's not that great. So, anyway, thanks. When we rejoin later on, it'll be a little quieter and we can say hi to some more people. But until then, thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you later on today at Marys Heights. Until then, this is Dana Shoaf, Tim Talbott from the Central Virginia Battlefields Trust, and Melissa Wynn, and our friend Trent Niederberger, signing off from Pelham's Corner on the Battle of Fredericksburg. See you later.